Hello, Steve Beecher with you again. I'm going to go ahead and work on a knife sheath, and I'm going to antique it and finish it with walnut, and I will go through my process of doing it. I'm no professional. I'm still learning, but this is how I do it. Ready? Mm-hmm. I'm not going back to it, I'm just measuring. All right, now I'm going to do some tooling. Got to wet the leather. You don't want it too wet. I just use my fingers. A lot of people like to use sponges. You can run it underwater in your sink. I can re-wet it as you go, but you want it fairly soft for your tooling. I have my D447S stamp. It's a border tool, and this would be my third time using it. I want to go right in this groove here. I'm going to come right to about the middle. Come off of it a little bit. Set it in the groove. Seat it. and you give it several good whacks. Okay, and you want to come to the very edge of it. And a lot of people say that if you rock these back and forth, that it makes a better impression. I still haven't developed that skill yet. Like you rock it left, you rock it right, and that's something over time you can probably pick up fairly easy. I'm going to go ahead and give a little over half of one here because the geometry wasn't right. I'm going to re-wet it a little bit. I want about a 1/2 inch apart. You can go less, you can go more, depending on how you want your border to look. Deep. And that is the border D447S, and I got it from Weaver Leather. I'm going to wet down the whole piece of leather now. It's a little more pliable now. It should take the tooling better. And now this is something that I like to do. It's just an old ball peen hammerhead and a brass hammer. You can leave different impressions by striking it a little differently or a little bit lighter, smaller, smaller, a little bit bigger. Okay, now that I've got that done, I kind of look over and see if I can maybe put a couple little areas that are not congested enough. I put a couple small ones in them. And I don't want to do too much, but once you finish that, it actually looks really nice. Okay, now I'm going to put a border on here. I'm going to be using the ZV707 for a border. Re-wet my leather. It's already drying. I'm going to stay just off the grooves where I do my stitching. Get a little imperfection here in my leather, but I'm still going to use it. There's no reason to throw it out because it has a little curl in it. This is also leather that I bought from Weaver. Alright, I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes. Okay, I've got some sheep's wool. Also, this comes from Weaver Leather. After you cut your piece, you want to go around and pull off all the loose fibers, because you don't want them with your finish on your leather. That was mainly where I cut the piece. You can just discard that. Now I'm going to use Be Natural, Leather Care RTC, Sheridan Resist, and Finish. I'm going to put this on before I apply my antique finish from Phoebing's. And this sheep's wool here, you can clean it out with warm soapy water after you're done, and you can reuse it. And this stuff is milky. And you can be liberal with it. You want it to get down in all the cracks. Yeah, I'm just going to let this sit for a minute, and then I'm actually going to wipe off the residual resist. Now I'm going to take my Phoebing's Antique Finish . Sorry, wasn't fully prepared. I use a latex glove. This is a medium brown. And you want to take it and apply this liberally as well. You want it to get down in all the cracks and crevices. You have to use quite a bit of it. You want it to get down in all of your tooling. And you can apply as many coats of this as you feel you need to darken it up. I only like to do 1 or 2 coats. You let that sit. The longer you let it sit, the darker it'll get. I only let it sit for about 5 minutes. You don't want to wipe too hard, but you also don't want to wipe too light. See how it's highlighting the tooled areas? And that is your antiquing. It's come out of a few of these, but I'm going to leave it like that because that just adds character to me.
Go.
Okay, for my next step, I would like to take a little Phoebing's purchased from Weaver's, a little saddle tan. And I'm going to grab my brush that I use for leather dye right here. And instead of dumping and wasting a bunch, I just like to use my brush and get some in there. It takes a little bit longer, but I don't like to waste a bunch of this as well. It takes a little longer than most people have the patience for. Okay, now I'm going to grab my Parks raw linseed oil. I have not seen anybody that does this. This is just my way of getting a finish. I got my oil brush. And there's no exact science to how to mix it. It's not like 6 parts to 1 or 7 parts to 1. I just get a little bit of oil in there because it goes a long ways. Somebody might even advise against doing this, but I got a good finish on a sheath with it and I like it. And I mix it. And I'm using saddle tan. It has a little bit of an oily residue to it. Now what I like to do is not get very much on my brush. And I don't even know what you call this finish, but I like doing it. And then I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to let that dry and then put another coat over the top of it. Now it takes a lot longer to soak in and a lot longer to dry than just applying a coat of your leather dye. So I'm going to give it a wipe. And so far to me that has a kind of a unique color. It may appear a little orange to you, but it looks a little more bronze or even a really light brown to me. And that's going to be my final coat because I'll be happy myself with that kind of color. I'll wipe it off in a few minutes. Okay, I'm going to wipe it off. With the oil, it is much different than just putting the leather dye on. So it takes longer to dry. But to me, that's almost maybe even a walnut color now. And then once it completely dries, I'll put a finish on it. I don't know, you can use neat foot oil. You can use a furniture wax on it. You can also use the Be Natural resistant finish on there. It'll help waterproof it. And I think I will let this dry. There's my finished product until I've done to wet form it and sew it. And also put the belt loop on there. If you like my video, go down to the comment below. Leave me a comment if you have any ideas, if you don't like it, if you do like it, and make sure you give me a thumbs up if you get to it. Thank you.